All right. Welcome back to another episode of Practice Underwater. I'm very excited for this interview and really excited to record this outro, which we have not done yet. But Matt and I have been waiting. So we record these in batches. And so we've just finished up a batch, and this is our last episode of the batch. And we've been anxiously waiting part 2 of this outro so we can go at it again about marketing. We have very differing ideas about SEO. So I'm excited to get into it. And you guys will hear my thoughts in the episode, and you'll hear Matt's probably wrong rebuttal in the outro. So, Matt, do you have any thoughts that you want to add before we get into this interview?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that outro for one. And for two, I've gone back and forth in my head 1,000 times on this. Is this guy like an Invisalign mole, or does he just have like stock in a line? Like, which one do you think it is? I'm undecided which one it is.
Okay, so Matt, of the things that he does, like, I think we should just make a segment show, things Matt does not like, and Invisalign is one of them.
Top of the list.
Dude, I use Invisalign.
I mean, not for long. I'll change that.
No, you won't.
No, but seriously, like, what do you think it is? Like, I really, if I had to guess, I would say stock. No, like, I have like a decent.
No, this guy does not have stock. He just used it. He likes it. I mean, it works.
You know, I don't know. I like making golf. That doesn't mean I talk about it any chance I get.
No, but I think so that's like a big part of his associate position was Invisalign. So by the way, guys, I haven't done a great job in the intros of reminding you this is a part 2. And so part 1 is the previous episode released under Practice Underwater. And so you go back and listen to that and you'll kind of see what we're talking about. But anyway, we'll pick up with this interview. Matt, do you have anything else you want to add before we get into it?
No, let's roll it.
We'll see you guys in the outro. I'm excited.
Alrighty, so we're back with David, our mystery doc. And if you guys haven't listened to part 1, go back and listen to it. If you're like, know what, I'm not going to listen to part 1, George, then I'll give you like a quick 30-second summary of part 1. So we have our mystery doc here, David. His real name is not David. And he bought a practice. He graduated. He had some bad experiences with an associateship. And then he had one that he really liked. It was this group practice associateship. And he eventually, decided, he listened to our show. He wanted to be a practice owner. So 6 weeks ago, he closed on a practice where 3-op office doing about 720. And he's had a little bit of a dip since he walked in. And a lot of that, what I had kind of looked at his dashboard, I noticed that he had some lack of hygiene revenue. So he had less patients in his hygiene chairs. He's diagnosing off of less patients. And then on top of that, he was diagnosing less per patient. And we kind of had the discussion where we didn't really think it was a lack of seeing treatment. It was more of, just he's in a small, tight-knit community and was just a lot of fear around upsetting your new patients that you want to be lifelong patients. And so we're kind of talking through that. And one of the things that we left off on was I kind of highlighted to him that he's losing on average, like 15 patients a month from just operational inefficiency of letting them walk out the back door without their next appointment, without following up with them. And so, for me, I kind of brought up the point with him of like, let's just try slowly starting to diagnose the way that we think is best. And I would much rather lose 2 patients a month that way than I would lose 15 patients a month the other way. And just a little bit of background, this is pretty much something you'll see in almost every practice you buy. So I walked into my practice and we were losing 40 patients a month and getting like 18. So that was a situation I walked into. And, a year later, we lose 9 patients a month. And, our new patient flow is much higher. So it's something that's really important, especially if, like this doc has said, David wants to build a group practice. And so, definitely super important. David, did I do a good job describing the last hour of your life?
Killed it, but they should still listen to the last hour, but it was great.
All right. So now we're going to talk about the back door. We will. But I wanted to talk to you first about your experience so far, looking at the metrics and kind of seeing what I'm seeing from a different perspective. How do you feel?
I kind of wish I could see all that because right now I feel like I'm walking around without any direction. This is great. Like it really kind of gives me a direction and I see what's going on. Cool. Like a silver platter.
Awesome. So we talked about I want to talk about your hygienist for a minute before we switch gears to talking about closing the back door. Sure. So talk to me about your hygienist.
Sure. So this is a little exciting. A week in to owning the practice, my hygienist, who I knew was going on maternity leave in about 3 weeks, after I bought the practice. Needed to be induced because there was some trouble. And thank God everything's good and the baby's fine. But she left about 4 days after I got to the office, and I had already hired somebody while I was waiting for this to close. I had hired somebody, and I called her and I was like, "Listen, can you start earlier?" She said yes. So she's been great. I did need a temp for a couple of days since I bought the office because a couple of days didn't work out yet for the new one, but the new one's been great. Very working inspired, working really hard. I sat down with her and went through my vision. A lot of perio was dropping through the cracks, so we're kind of trying to work on perio, have our scaling replaning set up perio maintenances. But she's only been in for a couple of weeks now, maybe 2-3 weeks. So we haven't quite gotten things rolling yet. But she's great, and she's like, we're working as a team. We're kind of bouncing things off. She's almost like the other provider in the office. I guess she is the other provider in the office. So my biggest problem is she's not booked. She's not. She'll come in, and then there'll be a bunch of slots during the day that she's not booked. So she's seeing about 5 or 6 patients a day, as opposed to I want her to see 8 patients a day. Yeah.
Okay. So, I guess for me, 2 thoughts. So obviously you can't control the maternity situation, but it does add an extra roadblock in there because you and the hygienist are meeting the patient for the first time.
Right.
Which it's always nice when you have the hygienist that knows the patient really well, and then that introduction can be made really nicely. So that's something that, the same way we talked about with you, that fear of telling somebody something for the first time, that's a conversation you're probably going to have with her. I always tell my clients, I'm coaching you, and then you got to coach your team the same way I coach you, and gotcha. So that conversation will have to be had. She's probably not going to mention as much perio as she should for the same reasons that we had just discussed. Sure. So that would be my guess. But if she is, then you can almost use that as an affirmation that hey, patients are actually picking up on new people and new treatment, and it's working well. So I would keep an eye on that situation.
Right, and evaluate it and see.
Mm-hmm. It's just more information. How are people reacting? Right. And I think you'll find that they're more open than you think.
Yeah, so she's very open. We actually just took the whole team to an Invisalign course, and afterwards she's been diagnosing, malocclusions right and left, and she's having the conversation first with the patient. So she is very receptive. So I just have to make sure she's doing the same thing with perio and discussing that with perio.
And restorative stuff, is that something that she's also picking up on, or not quite yet?
No. Now that you mention it, she's not your whole philosophy of we're not. I totally forgot about that.
Co-diagnosing.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Oh my god.
So you're co-diagnosing ortho, but that's it.
Yeah. Oh my, I'm writing that down right now. I can't believe we have to start working on that.
Yeah, and it's not like a sit her down Monday and yell at her all the stuff you diagnose and then expect her to know it. It's very much an ongoing conversation. With my hygienist, took about 6 months.
Sure.
And so it's every time you treat something on your side, just show her.
Okay. Yeah.
This is why I do it. And I like taking intraoral pictures in the middle of the procedure where it looks like the grossest for the patient and the hygienist, so that they can start learning, why do I treat things? And then every time you walk into her room and diagnose something, she has 3 openings a day. So just find a time to go through it and hey, this is why I diagnosed this. This is why I diagnosed this. And she will eventually pick up on it.
Gotcha. That's great. Yeah. The other thing I was kind of hoping for was the hygienist went on maternity leave was really sweet. She's not as motivated as this hygienist is, but she has a relationship with patients. So I was kind of hoping to bring her back for 1 day a week and adding that 1 day that I don't have hygiene on Wednesday. I was kind of hoping to add her in, but we're not busy enough to do that just yet in come January or February. Hopefully by the time we get there, we'll be busy enough and I'll be able to have her. But it would be great if I could.
Can this hygienist not add a day?
No, this hygienist can. I just don't see the need right now to add a day.
Yeah. But let's just say you need to add a day. Why would you prefer the other hygienist to this one?
because patients had a relationship with her, and I thought maybe like when I make that announcement, oh, Lana's back, blank is back from maternity leave, that she's back from maternity leave, we'd get like a nice influx of patients who have a relationship with her, and they'll kind of bring them back to. I don't know how much that's going to do, honestly, but in my head, that's kind of like a nice thing for the patient that they kind of get a feel of old regime a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's wrong. I would, and there's no right answer. For me, I would wonder. Patients are super receptive to the reason that they're seeing a new hygienist. The other one had a baby. Like that's like it couldn't have been a better reason for you.
Right.
So if you feel like this one's a good fit and is co-diagnosing for you, the revenue from the co-diagnosis wouldn't be there with that other hygienist. Why would I make that switch? For me, I would think if I like this hygienist, I want her there 4 days a week. I want her selling treatment for me 4 days a week, not 3. And my patients are receptive to her, so I don't even want the other one.
That's a great point.
Let's take a look at your backdoor. Okay. So I think we're done talking about your hygienist. I want to take a look at, so if my front desk was sitting at your front desk and we were to call patients to come in for their cleaning, I always like to see how many patients do we have to call. I'm going to take a look here in your practice by numbers. So in my mind, you have 171 people that are overdue for a cleaning that have not been in 2019 that you can call. So they're active patients of yours. And what I'm seeing on your dashboard is that you have a fairly large percentage of your practice is overdue for their recare. So I have about, a third of my practice hasn't been in the last 6 months. So, we were kind of talking about it jokingly that your Dentrix data is a little bit messed up because they had some sloppy practice management software techniques in the old regime, and so you're switching to Open Dental. So we'll see if that number changes, but I see that like half of your practice is overdue for a cleaning. Depending on what number I look at, it's a third to a half. And so there's a lot of people that are needing a cleaning that probably still have dental insurance that are just haven't gotten around to coming back to the dentist office.
So we don't even have, when I came in, and I haven't kind of fixed that yet, we don't have a system for like reactivating or calling patients. So this hygienist, now that she has a lot of free time, I've kind of printed out all the inactive patient lists, but I guess I shouldn't go to inactive patients. I probably should just tap into this list.
Overdue recare list.
Yeah, overdue recare.
2 things. I love that idea because your front desk probably wouldn't love the idea right now. And if this hygienist is receptive to that, to me, that's such a big win. And the other thing is, you can tell your hygienist that it's super important to make that patient's next appointment before they leave. So right now, you guys are in the 70th, like 78th percent of your patients are leaving with their next appointment. And I really want that in the mid 80s at least. So 85% as like a nice goal. And that way, 6 to 9 months from now, if you're seeing, 8 patients in a day, 7 of those appointments are filled, and then you got to fill 1. So, if we're moving towards the direction of group practice, we need multiple things to happen. We need high new patient flow and a large patient base. So neither of which you currently have. So the thing that's free is to improve your patient base currently, and then the thing that costs money is to get the new patient flow up. Obviously, the show is sponsored by Practice by Numbers. I pay for more Practice by Numbers than they pay me. So we buy Practice by Numbers for all of our clients, and that ends up being a lot more than our sponsorship. So that's my disclosure. And Practice by Numbers makes this very easy and straightforward to have. You can mark like when the last person you called, to call your lists. And so I think that's a great way to do it. But you can also, from the practice management software, print up the overdue recare lists and go through them and check them and just make sure you're not calling the same patient like 3 times. That it is what it is. I just prefer the software version of that.
Right.
Not a huge deal. Now I do want to talk about your new, so improving your reappointment rate. that. So like there's two places where the hole is happening, right? They're leaving without their next appointment, and then nobody's following up with them. And then, I mean, who wants to think about their dentist? Like nobody likes to think about the dentist. Like nobody's like, oh yeah, I want to go back and see my dentist. That guy's awesome. Like people don't normally think that in their life. So it's easy for them to get inactive after not being at the dentist for 2.5 years or whatever, a year and a half. But just by simply making their next appointment, they have that reminder that they have to come back to the dentist and they stay regular. And for all the skeptics out there that think that doesn't work, like that totally works. There's been patients in my practice that we've inactivated that haven't been in years, and I've seen them 3 times now, every 6 months for their cleaning. Like, it's just you just don't make your next appointment. You just don't go back, and then that's it. You fall out of the loop. So it's very easy, and it's something super simple to do. And if your hygienist is following up with all those unscheduled people, she's going to want to start scheduling them before she leaves, so she doesn't have to do that anymore. So right. I think it's a great activity for her to do, so she can learn how hard it is to get people back in the schedule.
Okay.
So new patient flow. That is the only other thing that I saw in your practice when I was looking at it that didn't seem like it was reaching your long-term goals. So I see kind of like a net average of about 10 new patients a month as being about what we are getting right now. So let's talk about that.
Okay. So I've kind of changed the entire marketing plan for the office. He was doing till now were these like local like little billboards on garbage cans in town, and his marketing budget was around $20,000 for it. He had no web.
A year,
yeah.
Okay.
So he's paying around a little under $2,000 a month. So he had no web. His presence was very small, minimal, like with a weak website. So I've revamped the website. It's coming out in about 2-3 weeks. I put some ads in local papers, and I'm also doing some like grassroots, like going door to door, printing out, making the baskets. And we haven't started yet. I'm in like ordered everything. On my days off, I plan on going door to door. I got the list of everybody who's moved into town in the past year, and kind of like mapped everything out. And so I'm planning on chasing after that. There's some new condos in town that just came up, just got built, and I'm meeting with the owner next week. So I'm trying to like find ways. Nothing. I mean, it's been 6 weeks, but nothing has kind of. A couple of new patients saw me, like the newspaper ad I put out, but nothing's like getting traction yet. And I can't wait for it to get there. I'm not like the most patient person in the world, so I'm like dying for it to get going. But I'm trying to come up with ideas of like how to keep my marketing budget within. I've canceled his the billboards that he has, and I'm trying to use that same budget for things that are, I think, more practical and gonna be more effective.
Okay. So 2 things. One, welcome to marketing. So I am like $100,000 into this experiment of, really trying to, and I've finally feel like I figured it out. But yeah, that's marketing. It sucks. And I feel like it's one of the most complex parts of ownership. It's the part that's the least straightforward. And so, welcome. And then second part I want to talk about is patience. So I am captain impatient. There is nobody you will ever meet more impatient than me. Like, I'm a millennial. I expect instant gratification. I expect to change something in my practice and see the production tomorrow. And it has been incredibly painful for me to be a practice owner for that reason. Like, that makes it really hard on a daily basis. And I would urge you to, and one skill that helps me is setting a reevaluation period. So I start something, and your instinct is to want to pivot and do something else. And this is like my MO is I start something, I don't see the immediate gratification, I pivot, and then I do something else, and I pivot, and I do something else, and I pivot, and I do something else. And the whole time you never give anything a chance to materialize. So I'm not saying I love every marketing idea you've thought of, but I don't think you've had enough time to see it. So I would start something, and then I would say, for 3 months, I'm not going to do anything else. And then once the 3-month timer rings, I'm going to take a look back at the last 3 months and evaluate whether or not it worked, and then I'll move on.
Hmm.
But that
Like that.
reevaluation period gives you the patience, like forced patience, to not evaluate results until it's been 3 months.
I like that. I think that's a great plan. I fall in the same boat. I can't, I couldn't wait to buy practice, and I can't wait for the practice of my dreams to get going. And like, I think I know what to do, and it's not happening. So I'm like, what's waiting? What are you waiting for? Let's go. Let's do it. But it's not.
Yeah. And so a lot of, it's a lot of that. It's a lot of, and at the end of the day, like that idea that your life is going to be better when is not really true. I had that lovely experience of realizing that in ownership. I think in dental school, I was like waiting for ownership to make X dollars, working 3 days a week. And it was like the thing I was really looking forward to. And then I made X dollars 3 days a week. And I was like, I feel the exact same.
Right.
And I was
Right.
like, well, that sucks, And I had this really big realization that it wasn't about the spot. It was about the destination. And so like for me, like I kind of criticized you in part 1 for like taking a longer road to your end goal, but like embrace that. It's the journey that is fun.
Right. I've built in a longer journey for myself. This is great.
Yeah, you've built in more fun.
Right.
But I'm serious.
Yeah.
Like, I look back on things and like especially shared practices, because we've come a long way. It's cool to think about how far we've come and like all the little things that happened. And it's not so much about where you are, it's about the process in getting there. And so I would try to set reevaluation periods and appreciate the journey, because there will never be a destination. You will never stop.
Right.
So it's those little moments, and like Matt always talks about, rewarding yourself along the way, that make it enjoyable, because ultimately you'll never enjoy anything if you're just like super unhappy until you get here, because then by the time you get there, you'll be super happy until I get to 1 times that, or whatever. So
right. It goes back to Dennis' mentality that we're just like always striving for more and growing, but 100% right. That like, this is everything I've dreamed of. And like, I still want the practice to grow and to build and hit my goals, but like, I got to embrace it and enjoy it while we're doing that.
Yeah. It's like in dental school, we like go to college, next step, take DAT, then apply to dental school, then go GPR, then associateship. It's like everything we do is so ladder driven. And then you get to the point where you're like, okay, well, now I'm at the top of the ladder. Now what? And so we just make ourselves more steps. But it's like at the end of the day, you just got to kind of get out of that mentality. So that's been an active struggle for me. It's not something I am perfected, but it's something that I'm aware of. And so if I can give you that awareness, then I feel like I did my job in that department. Yeah. So now I do want to talk about the marketing thing. So talk about your Google reviews.
So Google reviews, I've just became. I came in 6 weeks ago, and every patient at the end of the day, I went through all the patients and had my floater send them a text with a link to give a Google review. And I was so excited about it, and I got 0 reviews. So
I would encourage you to sign up with Swell.
Okay. What does Swell do more than
differently? Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah, right. That's the thing everyone's trying to figure out. So I don't exactly know. I just know I was using Legwork, and I was getting 5 reviews a month, and I switched to Swell because nobody stopped talking about it, and I was getting 25 reviews a month overnight. So I don't know. I mean, I've talked to the guys, and they said that they send the text at the right time, they send the email at the right time, and they make it a click less to leave a review than everybody else. And then they follow up with the people that clicked and didn't. They got some proprietary formula to get the conversion rate to be high. So, I mean, technically I'm like an affiliate with them, but I've never actually been paid by them. So I feel like I've just sent them a lot of free business, and that's okay because they have a great product. But people have encouraged me to be more honest about these relationships as opposed to being just like saying that, I support them. So that's my relationship with Swell. I love them. I think they do a really great job. So I would highly recommend signing up with them. It's like $150 a month or something, and it's totally worth it. I think marketing is one of the areas of complexity in practice ownership. And so we're trying to really internally at shared practices try to clarify some of those areas. I would kind of put them as Google reviews is the first cheapest thing. Like $150 a month for Google reviews is the cheapest form of marketing that you could possibly have, minus a website. And then pay-per-click, I would almost put next. So pay-per-click is relatively affordable. Like Google AdWords, you can get some emergency patients from it. It's not like the best thing ever. It's not going to totally transform your practice, but it'll give you a steady drip of patients, and it's usually low cost. So those would be based on your budget of $2,000 a month or floating around there. Those would be the areas I would focus on. But as you grow, you will have to start investing more in marketing.
Gotcha.
Because like $2,000 a month, 5% of that is like what, $40,000 a month. So like your marketing based on your practice getting to $40,000 a month, which is it's past that. So you have to, your marketing budget has to be for the size practice you're desiring, not the size practice you are, in my opinion.
Gotcha.
And so, you need to start upping that in order to really reach your goals, because that new patient flow is essential for you to get to that larger practice where eventually, I mean, like, let's even talk about you as a solo before we even go to a new location. I would like you to have 2 hygienists, at one time would be nice.
Right.
So, and I know in 3 ops, there's a logistical hassle there, but like that to me seems like an essential, especially for yourself on the more conservative side. You need 2 hygienists to keep you busy.
Right.
So
that's my first, my first step is getting to 2 hygienists where I can kind of have more to treatment plan from. And then eventually graduate to the next step.
Yeah. So then again, the ways to get there are you're closing your back door and opening up your front door.
Gotcha.
And so my urge for you would be to start investing more in marketing. And then when you get past that point of the pay-per-click, reach back out to me and we can, I'll just help you out and figure out what you need to do. But at the same time, let's just start there.
Gotcha. What are your thoughts on SEO? Like raising your SEO versus pay-per-click? Is pay-per-click that much more? Are you bringing in that much more versus trying to raise your SEO to the top of like Google Maps?
All right, can I go on a rant?
Let's do it.
Before we get back to the episode, I wanted to take a minute and thank Practice by Numbers. Without their help and allowing us to set up the shared practices dashboard, a lot of what we do on Practice Underwater wouldn't be possible. I want to take a minute and highlight a clip from the episode that we did with Rohit, where we highlighted some of the metrics that really matter most.
One of my pet peeves that I want to share is that when you talk to some of the providers that are really successful out there, that have been in practice for 20, 30 years, and they roll your eyes when you say you're going to manage by numbers and this and that, they have successful practices, they have built them, and they have something right they have done. And when they tell you the only thing you need to look at is your bank account, it's absolutely incorrect. Okay? It pisses me off every time I look at that and I see that comment on the Facebook group, because success is not happenstance. It just doesn't happen.
It's kind of baffling. It's an everyday kind of thing where you're striving to improve, you're striving to tighten your systems, you're striving to know your practice better, and just to get in that kind of complacent mode is easy. I can see how it happens, because you're so in the wheel and you get overwhelmed with things that this isn't something you want to think about a lot of times. But it really is so important that people focus on this kind of thing.
I hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you guys are interested in trying out Practice by Numbers and looking at your practice through the Shared Practices dashboard, and there are many other dashboards, you can go to practicebynumbers.com and set up a free trial.
Okay, so when I'm on here on a show and I'm telling you to do some form of marketing, I have to know that it's going to work, because then you're going to do it and I'm held responsible for the result. And I get that I'm putting a lot of pressure on my recommendation, but at the same time, that's how I feel. So do I do SEO in my practice? Yes. Do I spend $500 a month doing that? Yes. Do I have any idea if it's working? None.
Right.
So the way Google works is you search for dentist. The first thing I see is pay-per-click. The second thing I see is a Google Maps insert that has a list of dentists in your area and where they are on the maps. So your reviews are dictating who comes up first on that map. So my office has like 270 something reviews. And so now we're first on that map and we're first on pay-per-click. So in the first two things that patient sees, they see me twice of the first 4 practices. Then is SEO, what's on my website, the content, the wording, the backlinks, all that crap. That's the third thing they see under the big giant map. My guess is that patient has made a decision before they get down to the random links of a website. They've looked at the number of reviews I've had, and they're most likely going to click on me there if they didn't already on the top link of my pay-per-click ad. So SEO, in my mind, is the third thing the patient sees. So there is SEO with the reviews, right? Like the way you set up your Google listing, the way that you optimize it, that I believe in that heavily. And that's something that I push. Mm-hmm. But when you say SEO, most people interpret that as and charge you for optimizing your website to come up highly in search algorithms. That's the third thing you see. You see pay-per-click ads, then you see Google reviews, then you see Google Maps, which are influenced by reviews, and then you see your SEO. So I pay for it. I'm not sold on it. And I don't like marketing avenues that are not predictable because I want money out, patients in. Right. I don't want money out. See if this wizard with a keyboard can make me come up higher on this search engine that nobody knows the algorithm for to see if I'm going to get patients.
Gotcha.
So that's my rant on SEO. I believe in it. I just don't believe that everybody knows how to do it, and I don't know who knows how to do it, and I'm trying to figure that out. So I have I think the things that I think are predictable are Google reviews, pay-per-click, direct mail. Like those are the things that I know work. It's the other stuff that I'm trying to I'm exploring, and I'm not sold on anything else.
Direct mail. What do you mean by direct mail? Mailers?
So I personally don't like mailers. I personally am doing a magazine, a direct mail piece. So I did the postcards. And my area is a higher income area. So our income is like $110,000 in my area. So, we have people that have money and they're choosing a dentist for reasons other than cost. And I don't want patients that take cash. So I want insurance patients. That's what my practice does really well. And insurance patients don't make decisions based on money because they have their free coverage and they're going to the dentist that's best that takes their insurance. And so for me, I had to find a way to appeal to that patient differently. And so my cost for a postcard was 44 cents, and I was doing a 6x11 postcard with a coupon on it and a picture of me without a tooth, and it just kept falling flat on its face. And so then we're like, okay, well, let me try something different. And so we did a 16-page magazine for the 60s in cents. So it was like maybe a 30% increase in cost from my direct mail postcard, but I'm sending out a 16-page magazine all about my practice, and that's been doing fantastic. So that to me has been a fantastic investment, and patients are choosing me. Like I have patients coming in, accepting treatment, choosing me for the right reasons, getting high quality new patients. And yes, I'm paying more to get that person to walk through the door, but my revenue for that patient is so much higher. And the conversion on it, like the response rate on a 16-page magazine is so much higher than a 6x11 postcard with a coupon on it. And so it's something that, I believe in heavily now, and we're trying to get it organized for our clients to do because it has been nothing other than phenomenal.
It's a great idea. Love it.
Yeah. So that's something we've been working on. It's been really great for my practice, but it's like a lot of other things that we've kind of been finding is like they're great for my practice, but then once you try getting it in a client's office, it's really hard because that magazine cost me like 10 grand to make, and like all kinds of money went into that whole process. And so it's how do we streamline that and make it faster? It took me like 6 months from start to finish, and so it's like how do I make that faster, easier, cheaper? And so That's what we're working on. Right. Yeah. Huh. But yeah, I think direct mail is very predictable. Like that is a predictable marketing avenue, especially in a local business. Like, of course you need to do direct mail. It's just the type of direct mail. I don't necessarily agree with postcards all the time. If you're in a lower income area where you want that cash patient, and it's kind of like a high turnover patient. You don't want like a long-term patient, then sure, you can do the postcard thing. But for me, it just wasn't a good fit.
Gotcha. Do you see that if by closing the back door and starting up the new patients that we'll be able to grow the hygiene into 4 days a week in the short term, within a couple of months?
No. Not within a couple months.
What do you think the timetable will be?
Yeah, I think you need a 6 to 9 month period for the time that you improve your reappointment rate to expand till you start seeing it. So my guess would be you still have 3 openings a day. So, filling those 3 openings a day and reappointing those patients, my guess is around the 6 month mark, and working on your new patient flow is not an overnight thing. Ask me how I know, right? Like that's been like biggest frustration of ownership so far has been marketing. So yes, that is not, my guess is not 2 months from now, especially if you have 3 openings a day. So my hope is that, 6 months from now, we can add that day and maybe even sooner. But then like 9 months, a year, you can start thinking about that second hygienist part-time. Like for me, it's once you get that ball rolling, then it picks up quicker. But 2 months is not enough time to get anything done.
Right. And then if we just snowball that slowly, month after month, year after year, eventually we have that group practice.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's what I'm saying. I'm with you on that. Like your long-term vision will happen. The criticism I had in part 1 is you just picked a long path,
right.
And you already picked it. I'm not going to, coulda, shoulda, woulda, doesn't matter. I just, for our audience, want them to have that lesson of, just understanding that fact. And then if they want the long path, they can take it as well. I just want them to be uneducated. So definitely though, I definitely think that, your new patient flow, getting that up to like, let's just shoot for, like right now you're getting 10 a month. So like if I were to tell you 50, you'd think I'm nuts. But yeah, like that's a number I'd like you to be at, is the 30, 40s, 50s. Then I'm thinking, okay, now we have the recipe for a group practice. But if you can't get up to 30, 40, 50 a month, then that you can't go to a group without figuring that out first.
Right. So we'll get that. Once we get that steady stream, then we could.
Yeah, then you can turn it up. You know what works. You know what doesn't work. You know what you can crank the volume on, and you can start building that. Because you could have a period where you have like extended hours and 2 different doctors never there at the same time at your practice.
Right.
There is an interim period to be had before you go build a new location.
Right.
But eventually, you need a new location if you want that group practice.
Right. This has been tremendous, completely eye-opening. Anything else you see in the numbers that kind of stands out to you?
No, I mean, I think my biggest thing was I looked at it, and I'll kind of take the audience through my dashboard. So we should be we upload these dashboards. So we always do the previous month. And so in this case, it will be October. And biggest thing I saw was, okay, I looked at it and you had $50,000 of production and the amount of treatment you added. So like for me, I always know is a practice declining or not declining based on how much is added. And so you added $37,000 to the schedule. So all hygiene reappointments, all treatment scheduled. So you scheduled $23,000 of treatment, and then you had like $14,000 of hygiene that was added, like whatever that mixture was. So for me, that looks like a declining practice. And so it's already declined, and it was on trend to decline further because of the diagnosis that we talked about. So the diagnosis and the filling hygiene openings. So that was like the first thing that popped out to me when I looked at it was those are 2 holes that need to be filled. And then, we had the more long-term discussion about closing your back door and getting the new patients in. So like I kind of put our discussion in 2 different camps, like what is going to impact the next 3 months? That's diagnosis, filling, hygiene schedule. And what is going to impact the next year? New patient flow and backdoor closing. So that was really the picture that I saw for you. And then, of course, when you added the element of your long-term goals, that just made everything seem like we have to do everything even more, but just for a longer period of time to get to your long-term goals.
Right. To make it a fun journey.
Yeah. And, I want you to, I want there's the stuff that so my favorite part about coaching is not like this this stuff, like a month from now, we're going to have the same issues, right? But it's the mindset that like the impatience, the like I'll be happy when mentality, the difficulty talking to patients about treatment because of fear, like those things is what makes coaching a lot of fun. And so those are the things that I also want you to take away from this and kind of be aware of those things so you can work on them, because ultimately if those mindsets don't change, and the reevaluation periods is another big one for you, like improving on those things too, because ultimately, like right now you bought this practice and we did the show. So like it's kind of easy for you because like none of these things are your fault. Like this is all seller's fault. He wasn't reappointing, he wasn't calling patients. But when we get an experienced practice owner on here, like I can look at their metrics and pretty much know their mindset because it's a reflection of them. And so those mindset issues, and they're not like nothing wrong with you, they're just mindset challenges that you have. And those mindset challenges ultimately will lead to less than the results you're looking for if they're not addressed as well. So there's the metrics that we had talked about, and then there's also the mindset stuff that I'd like you to work on as well.
Right. Okay. Perfect. I'm excited to like reassess this in a couple of months and just see how we are in mindset in short term and in long term, and see if we're on track.
Yeah, I think it's important, and and I get that there's a conflict of interest in me saying this, but like if there's a guy that ever should work with Matt Carino, it's you. Like that's like his. So like my special sauce is group practices and getting there. But like the things that are holding you back from a group practice are not really things I can super help you with on a month-to-month basis. But like that mindset stuff of like the diagnosis and the confidence of patients and leading your team, like that's really what like the reasons he's successful are those things. And so yeah, I mean, more for everybody on the show, like that's what Matt has really helped me with, is not letting the conversation I have with the patient, whether it goes poorly or not, have any reflection on who I am as a person. And I think that link was something that I really struggled with until I started talking with Matt. So that's all I got for you, man. How do you feel? Was this fun?
This was great. This was awesome.
No, but it was a lot of fun. And I think this was a cool episode on my part because I think it showed a lot of things that metrics showed us that we wouldn't have known otherwise. And I think a lot of times with coaching, it's sometimes hard because you feel like you have to bring all the problems to the table to get the answers. But in this interview specifically, you didn't really bring me any problems. Like you just kind of like said like, hey, about this practice, like what's up, and then like we kind of just saw it all. So I think that's always cool. I like practices like this that the metrics show the story very clearly, and then we can sort of help it out. So this was a lot of fun for me. I appreciate you coming on, David. And people like you who come onto the show are what give it the ability to continue going. And so I really, really appreciate you coming on. Anything else, David?
I just want to thank you guys. You guys have really been affected and changed my life a lot. So I wanted to thank you for all you do, all you've done, and I hope this could help somebody out there. And you've helped me in this interview, but I hope I can help somebody else with the information that I gave. And keep doing what you're doing. You're really changing the world.
Awesome, man. Well, that just gave me butterflies. I appreciate it. Thanks, David. I'll see you guys next week, and we'll do an outro right now.
All right. So Matt's still ranting about Invisalign, so I thought I better just press play and keep hearing him go. He's kind of cracking me up here. So Matt, you're not over the Invisalign thing. So before we get to our discussion about marketing, go on.
Well, I don't know. It's like my head is spinning. Like, what is like he's co-diagnosing with his staff on Invisalign, like taking them to Invisalign training before they're co-diagnosing fillings and like work. It's not adding up. Like that's why I really think the stock issue. Like I can't get that out of my head. I think it's a hefty stock. I would say at least 20,000, maybe 30,000 in Align stock.
It's probably not a great investment, to be honest, but I do agree with that point where so ortho focus, and ortho is great. Like his ability to, like, for me, like he treats a wear case with Invisalign, like that's much higher than in terms of production, diagnosis, and everything. Like if he truly believes in it, obviously he does. I don't think I could like totally get myself around to, and maybe that's just not enough ortho training, of having a conversation with a patient like, you really need Invisalign right now for your wear. Like, and I'm probably in the wrong there, but kudos for him. Like that's going to do him a lot of wonders throughout his career of like a lot of Invisalign.
I'm going to joke about it, obviously. But I think the key point is he's missing the big fish and he's going after the small fish first. It's like out of order. It's like the co-diagnosing of normal treatment is not there, but this Invisalign co-diagnosing is there.
I guess that's a good point because I think people in general try to bump up a practice or really raise a practice's production with specialty procedures. And I think it's just in general not a great technique. It's never going to be more than like Philip Gordon, one of the huge implant guys. His total practice production from implant procedures, last I heard him talk about it, was like 30%. So like the implant guru who does every type of implant, markets towards implants, like implants is everything he does and breathes in his practice, is 30% of his total production is from implants. Like you're never going to, like, I think that idea that I'm going to blow up my practice by adding a procedure, no matter what procedure it is not going to happen. And implants is probably the most impactful one, but I doubt you beat Philip Gordon at 30% of your total production from implants.
No, guy's a beast.
So we didn't talk about it in part one, but I wanted to kind of address that idea that we wanted to talk about it. I felt really bad doing it on air, but in part one, I did kind of criticize him for buying the practice he bought, which I would never do with a client because he already bought the practice. So it was sort of where like this practice underwater isn't like exactly like a coaching call because I wouldn't really harp on that as hard as I did. But yeah, I mean, the reality is we do pre-owner coaching. And like, I think one of the things that we really harp on is vision and making sure the practice you're buying aligns with your vision. And it really felt like a big miss on that here. It's worth re-mentioning that because I didn't mention it in the part one outro. And I think it's just unfortunate, but I hated doing that, but I felt like I owed it to the audience to really highlight that because it might have been missed.
Yeah, and I think it's a unique case too, because usually what we see is a doctor who doesn't have his vision defined when he buys a practice. But this doc, David, he had his vision super clear. He liked what he was in his associate job and wanted to replicate that, but then still bought this practice. So he very well and probably will get there, but he made his road super inclined. Like he's got
10 years,
like a ton of challenges to get over before he's going to get to where he wants.
And I think that goes back into like that ladder mentality that we talk about a lot on the show. Sorry if we talk about it too much, but I feel like it can't be mentioned enough to dentists, right? Like we were both in it and both are in it to an extent. It's really hard to get out of that idea that like once I hit here, everything will be great. Think about something in your life where like, well, once that happens, everything will be fantastic. And what that really is addressing is I'm feeling some sort of way, and I feel like whatever getting there is doing for you is really like I would explore that because like I'll be happier when. You'll never be happier when unless you'll address the reason why you're unhappy now.
Yeah, and it's probably a point we can't drive home enough because I'm sure the students and residents and everyone who's like not where they want to be listening to us is going through that. I know I went through that all the time. That was my mode of operandum. I'll be happier when I get out of this stupid residency. Like it's a tough one to kind of get over, and we can't mention it enough, honestly.
It really took me all the way to my third month of ownership, hitting a high income that I wanted to, and then being like, well, this sucks. This is it. This is like, I'll be happy when, like, this isn't what I want for my life. You got to fix some things, but I would like it if people could maybe identify that sooner and not go into it with, I'll be happy when I accomplish X, because you're going to accomplish X and realize you missed out on the whole journey. The whole journey is what's happy. It's not the destination. It's the process. And so really embracing that and like enjoying the process will make it enjoyable for you as a person.
Couldn't agree more there.
The moment we've both been waiting for. Matt has an issue with my feelings about SEO. So you heard what I had to say on the show. I'll say it again. You have 1, 2, and 3. You have like Colin Cowherd. He always does this where he's like, you got the first thing that somebody searches on Google is they see pay-per-click. Second thing they see is your listing on Google Maps that is very heavily influenced by the optimization of your Google listing and your number of reviews. And then the third thing they see, if they go past the ad, 25% of people will click on the ad, I don't know what percentage of people call you because of your reviews or whatever comes up on Google Maps. But then after that, they go to your website. Like, who nowadays really looking for a business is going to like click and skip the number of reviews, skip the ad, and go all the way down to the bottom, click on a website, go to your website, and then make the decision to go to you. Like, they're going to go to your website after they've already decided for you on Maps, in my opinion. If they didn't click the ad, they're going to go to Maps. You're probably getting like 20% of people getting past the first two things, and that's where SEO comes into play. So I'm not a big SEO guy. I'm big into optimizing your Google listing, but I'm not big on anything else. And Matt could not agree. He's shaking his head right now. He's not happy.
It's like you're focusing on getting into the red zone. Like you're focusing on the big pieces. Like you're getting the red zone consistently. You're up there in Maps. You got the ads, but you're not scoring the touchdown. Like, win all three. There's only one more thing you got to do, and that's SEO. Like, why stop there?
So that's a great point, right? I want to be, so in my ideal world, I have the ad spot. Like right now, if you search for Dennis, I have the ad spot. 280 something reviews. We're the number one rated. So we'll be first on Maps. We have an optimized Google listing. And then the next piece is, yeah, I would love if my website would be there. Like, that would be great. But nobody knows how to do it.
See, that's the disagreement point. Like, I believe there is someone out there, again, Matt at sharedpractices.com. Matt at sharedpractices.com. If you have figured out SEO, and I know you're out there, I know it's out. I know. And ideally, I'm looking for someone like college dropout in his mom's basement, like his underwear. Like, I know that guy's out there. Figured out SEO. Someone out there. I know it's there. Just
my goodness.
Drop me a line, please.
So here's where Matt and I disagree. So Matt believes that, so I'm all about, in marketing, I'm about predictability and sustainability. And for me, the pay-per-click is sustainable and the Google review is predictable and sustainable. And my magazine that I'm doing is very predictable and sustainable. Like, I don't feel like anything else in marketing, somebody can say, I can guarantee this result if you spend this much money. So yeah, there might be some guy in his mom's basement is under, but nobody's going to find him. And Matt at sharedpractices.com, but nobody's going to find the SEO wizard out there, and everybody claims to be it. And it's just, I mean, I still pay for SEO. I will probably continue to pay for SEO, but until I see the results of it, I'm not super convinced that it's really worthwhile. I just, at my marketing budget, you kind of diversify, right? But I don't like super believe in that $500 a month I spend, but I just do it anyway because it might work. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sold on any other type of marketing. I really am not. And somebody's got to get on the show. And Richard and I kind of talked about it being, Matt, when we were in Arizona, we talked about it as being the marketing season of like getting these people on here and convincing me. Like, if you could convince me that I can spend, over the course of a year, $5,000 on Google and become, maybe have 3 websites that are top 1, 2, and 3 in my area, like, fine. But I just don't believe that anybody out there, and Google changes their algorithm so much, nobody out there actually knows how to do it. You're just holding out hope that somebody knows how to do it.
I mean, you saying all that is just adding fuel to the fire. You're just putting coals in my fire. I will find that person. But second point, I'm so excited for this marketing season because I think you mentioned in this interview how like this is the biggest like piece of ownership that's critical that people don't totally understand. And like the services aren't very like streamlined. Like if you spend X amount, you'll get this result. It's very like trial and error. It's like you don't know where to put your money. You want to invest in it, but you don't know what to do. So like that season is going to give all of us out there, hopefully, a lot more clarity on marketing.
Well, it's like this magazine thing. The whole issue with dental marketing right now is everything is so cost inflated. I mean, if you want to go get that magazine that we did, it's like for an 8-page, if you could go pay 90 cents a mailer, dropped. We're able to do it 59 cents a mailer. Like, that's how much margin is just in here costing us money that we're not actually getting in results. So like, I think that there's like in a lot of services, there are just the ones that we know are best. And in marketing, it's a total shit show. Nobody knows. I mean, that's the hard part. It's like, I wish it didn't cost me as much money as it did to figure it out, but it did. And I think
it's like believing that there's someone is out there, like believing in a higher power. You've never seen him, but you believe he's there looking after you. I believe there's someone who's an SEO expert looking after us. I just got to find him.
So then what happens when Google changes their algorithm and then your SEO wizard doesn't know how to get you rankings anymore?
He's already got it. Like, he's ahead. He knows. He knows.
I'm just so not there.
Well,
Not there. I can't wait till I'm doing the SEO one in the marketing season, or we're each do one. I am not going to let you get some SEO, like just, echo room about how awesome it is on air. That's not happening.
That totally is happening. But a side question, you mentioned a lot about Google. You're big into Google. I've never heard you mention the words Facebook.
Yeah. What's the question?
Why? Like, what is your aversion to Facebook? Because I'll talk about some results I've gotten from Facebook, but what you never bring it up.
Sustainability, predictability. No, don't talk about Facebook on the show. No.
Listen, George, moms are on Facebook, especially in the suburban towns. That's where they live. That is
so
their
nobody's on Facebook looking for a dentist. They're on Facebook to do other stuff. Like, it's very hard to get somebody who is a high quality patient. They got to be searching for you, or they have to seek some initiative. Like, I like to build in a little bit of barriers in my marketing. Like the whole Facebook lead gen thing of I put out an ad, they respond to the ad, I follow up with them right away with a call, hoping that they come in. Like, that's way too many things that they don't have to do to get into my office. Like, I like that they got to look up a dentist, they got to call the number, and then they got to come in. Like, that's a much more motivated person than somebody who's just happened to be on Facebook. Oh, interesting ad. Click. Oh, put in my contact information, and then I get a call. Oh, this is the dentist. Okay, sure, I'll make an appointment. Like, it doesn't. I don't know. In every other type of marketing. So here's the difference. Lead gen works in all different types of marketing because you're not going to get burnt out by a lack of quality people. Like, if you're selling some sort of service, like if you're doing home loans, for example, that's like a big lead gen industry. If you're doing home loans, sure. Like, you can do lead gen marketing where you put your name and contact information and get spammed by a mortgage broker. But the reality is, in dentistry, like, I put that appointment on my schedule. Like, that patient better show up and they better be high quality, or else it's a total waste of my office's time and my office's overhead. Like, there's not that type of pressure on other industries that do lead gen marketing. So I think it's really important to get that high quality new patient. And so, yeah, I mean, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen a predictability from Facebook. I'm not saying a ton of people get great results on Facebook. It's just, it's not super. I haven't felt like it's super predictable, and that could be another thing that somebody needs to come on air and prove me wrong.
So let's say we table that one until you see a little more evidence that it can be where you want.
That's all I'm going to get from you? You're not going to argue?
No, I mean, I will argue. So, like, they're on Facebook. They have a need. They happen to popped up this ad. I'm missing a tooth. This is implant.
What kind of mom is sitting on Facebook missing teeth with money? Like, that's not a real thing.
That is a real thing. It is a real thing. I'm just telling you. Like, people are missing teeth, and it's not just like the old country folk who don't got no money that are missing teeth.
Yeah, but I mean,
my mom's missing a tooth. What are you saying about her, George?
I'm not saying anything about her. I'm wondering, like, I feel like she should make an appointment with the dentist to get that taken care of. And that's the type of patient I want, the type of patient that knows they're missing a tooth and knows they want to get it taken care of. So they're going to find the dentist to take care of it. They're going to seek it. They're not going to be like bombarded with ads about implants and respond, I don't know.
They are out there. Like, I just, my general marketing philosophy is cast a wide net. Like, put more of your resources in the higher, likelihood you're going to get a high quality patient, magazine, Google. But, like, why not also have a wide net and just
and I agree in diversifying your marketing source. So if you do Google reviews and you do pay-per-click and you do some sort of direct mail or something predictable, and then you have excess cash that you want to throw into marketing, like, sure, do something else, but don't expect it to work.
It's Facebook marketing is not, it doesn't require a lot of capital to.
No, it does not. It just also doesn't get you anything. So
George is all about simple, sustainable. So if something's not going to fit that, you know where he lands on it just in the future.
Yeah, no, I like the guys that are like, oh, I just did a Facebook Live video with boosted it and got like 70 new patients this month. It's like, dude, that's I don't know.
It's not your style.
That's not my style at all. No, not even one bit. Like, can you do that for the next 3 years every day? I don't know, maybe, but I can't. Anyway, that's my marketing rant. And I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of these. I'm really excited. I think season 6 is going to be marketing. I think we've talked Richard into it. So season 6 after leadership, we're going to talk about marketing. All right, guys.
Be the most avid listener of that one.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything else for us, Matt?
No, I mean, I think David just needs like sorry to beat a dead horse, he needs coaching. Like, he's got a lot of mindset stuff to get over, and he needs that.
100%. You guys hopefully enjoyed this episode. Hopefully enjoyed me and Matt going at it. Give us some feedback, on the Facebook group, via email or whatever it may be, about, the things you like about the episodes, the things you don't. I think people in general tend to like these longer outros. So we've been trying to have more discussions on air as opposed to having them off air and making the outros more succinct. So I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode of Practice Underwater, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening to another episode of Practice Underwater. We'll see you guys next week.
If you're interested in one-on-one coaching with either Dr. George Hariri or Dr. Matt Garino, our contact emails are in the show notes.
And if you're interested in being on Practice Underwater as a guest, where we could look at your practice anonymously, you can go ahead and contact the email in the show notes and follow those directions to get on the show. Thanks, and we'll see you guys next week on Practice Underwater.